I'm Daniel, 42, senior project manager at a tech consulting firm. Until 3 months ago, I thought I'd successfully built a family with my wife Jen and her 2 kids. Max is 16, Zoe is 14. For 7 years, I've been the one paying for their lives, while their biological father, Tom, couldn't even remember their birthdays. But apparently, DNA trumps everything else, including the $180,000 I've spent raising them since I married their mother. That morning started like any other. I was reviewing the final details for our annual family vacation, a $7,000 beach house rental in the Outer Banks that I'd booked 6 months in advance. 5 bedrooms, oceanfront, private beach access, the works. I'd even arranged paddleboard rentals, a deep-sea fishing charter, and had prepaid for a week's worth of restaurant reservations at places that required booking months ahead. This was supposed to be our big trip before Max's senior year, something special I'd been planning since January. Jen walked into the kitchen with that look that meant she needed to tell me something I wouldn't like. She poured herself coffee, sat down, and said, "The kids want Tom to come to the beach house for a few days." I actually laughed. Their father, who hasn't paid child support in 4 months, wants to stay in the house I'm paying for? "It's complicated," she said. "They miss him, he's their family." That word hit like a sledgehammer. What am I then? She couldn't meet my eyes. "You're their stepfather, Dan. It's not the same." Max walked in just then, grabbed orange juice from the fridge I'd stocked, using the credit card I pay for, wearing the Nike shoes I'd bought him last month. I asked him directly if he really wanted his dad there. He didn't even look at me. "You're not blood. This isn't really your decision." Zoe nodded from the doorway. "Dad's our real family. You're just Mom's husband." Just Mom's husband. After 7 years of driving them to practices, paying for their phones, their clothes, their school supplies, their extracurriculars. After sitting through every parent-teacher conference while Tom no-showed. After teaching Max to drive because Tom was too busy. After helping Zoe with her anxiety when her real dad forgot her birthday 3 years running. I nodded slowly, pulled out my phone, and started making calls right there at the breakfast table. What they didn't know was that I'd been documenting everything for years, not maliciously, just habit from my job, where documentation is everything. Every payment I'd made, every event Tom had missed, every time I'd stepped up. My lawyer friend Marcus had actually suggested it years ago, not for any legal reason, but just to track household expenses for tax purposes. That documentation was about to become very useful. See, what Jen and her kids didn't fully grasp was exactly how much of their lifestyle I was funding. My base salary is $165,000, but with bonuses and my side consulting work, I pull in close to $230,000 annually. Jen works part-time as a dental hygienist, making maybe $35,000 a year. Tom's a contractor who works when he feels like it, owes $47,000 in back child support, and hasn't had steady income in 2 years. I pay the mortgage on our 4-bedroom house, all utilities, both car payments, insurance for everything, groceries. I give Jen $2,000 a month for household expenses, on top of everything else. Max's travel soccer team that costs $5,000 a year, that's me. Zoe's piano lessons at $200 a week, me. The family phone plan, Netflix, Disney Plus, the pool membership, the gym memberships they begged for and never use, all me. But I'm not blood, so none of that matters, right? My first call was to the vacation rental company. "Hi, this is Daniel Reeves. I have a reservation for next week. Confirmation number BH7829. The agent pulled up my booking. "Yes, Mr. Reeves, the 5-bedroom oceanfront property. How can I help you?" "I need to modify the reservation. Can I switch to a smaller property and change the names on the booking?" "Certainly, sir. Since you're within our modification window, there's no penalty. What changes would you like to make?" Jen was staring at me. The kids had stopped eating. "I'd like to switch to your 2-bedroom condo, same dates, and remove Jennifer Reeves, Max Patterson, and Zoe Patterson from the reservation. Add Nathan Reeves instead." "Dan, what are you doing?" Jen's voice was sharp. I held up a finger. "Also, can you cancel the additional services? The paddle boards, the fishing charter, all of it." "Of course, Mr. Reeves. I'll process that refund immediately. The difference will be $4,200 back to your card. Perfect. And please ensure the gate codes are changed and the previous guests I mentioned are not authorized for entry. Understood, sir. The property management will be notified. Max stood up. You can't just cancel our vacation. I looked at him calmly. It's not your vacation, it's mine. I paid for it. And since I'm not blood and this isn't really my decision, I'm making other arrangements. Your real dad is welcome to plan something for you. My next call was to my credit card company. I need to report some authorized users for removal and cancel several recurring payments. I systematically removed Jen and both kids from my credit cards, canceled their phone lines effective in 48 hours, removed them from my Amazon Prime, Netflix, and every other subscription service. Then I called my auto insurance and removed Max, who I just added 3 months ago when he got his license, saving myself $280 a month. Zoe was crying. You can't do this. Mom, make him stop. Jen grabbed my arm. Dan, please, let's talk about this. We did talk. You told me I'm not family, so I'm acting accordingly. My phone rang. It was my cousin Nate calling back. Dude, are you serious about the beach trip? Dead serious. You in? Hell yes. Lisa just served me papers last week. I need this. Perfect. I'll send you the details. I stood up from the table. Since I'm just Mom's husband and not real family, I'll be staying in the guest room until I can make other arrangements. Jen, I'll transfer this month's mortgage and utilities to your account. But starting next month, you'll need to handle your family's expenses yourself. I'm sure Tom will be happy to help, since he's real family and all. The next few hours were chaos. Jen tried everything: tears, anger, bargaining. She called her sister, who called me an asshole until I explained that I'd been paying for her kids' birthday presents for 5 years, since Jen couldn't afford what they wanted. She got real quiet after that. Max tried the tough guy approach, saying I was being petty and childish. I pulled out my laptop and showed him the spreadsheet I'd been keeping. Max, I've spent $31,000 on you alone in the last 2 years. Your soccer, your gaming computer, your clothes, your phone, the car insurance I just added you to. Your dad has contributed $0 in that same period. But he's family, and I'm not, so I'm sure he'll cover it now. The color drained from his face. Mom can't afford my soccer fees. That sounds like something you should discuss with your real dad. Zoe tried manipulation, saying I was punishing them for being honest. Honest? I asked. You mean finally telling me how you really feel after 7 years of taking my money? You're right. Thank you for the honesty. Now I can be honest too. I'm not obligated to fund the lives of people who don't consider me family. That evening, Tom actually showed up. Jen had called him in panic, and for once he came. He strutted in like he owned the place, which was ironic since I'd been paying the mortgage for 7 years. So you're throwing a tantrum because the kids want their dad around, he said, sneering at me. I smiled. Not at all. I'm stepping back so their real dad can step up. In fact, I have something for you. I handed him a printed invoice. This is what their monthly expenses are. Since you're their family and I'm not, I'm sure you'll want to take over. It's only about $3,500 a month for their activities, clothes, phones, and incidentals. Oh, and Jen will need help with the mortgage now, too. He laughed. You're joking. Not at all. Max needs his soccer fees paid by Thursday. That's $500. Zoe's piano lesson is tomorrow. That's $200. Their phone bills are due in 2 days. That's $180. Oh, and Max needs new cleats. He's been asking for the Nike Vapors. Those are about $275. Tom's smirk faded. I don't have that kind of money. But you're their real dad, their blood. Surely that counts for something. He turned to Jen. You can't let him do this? She was crying. He removed me from all the credit cards. The kids' phones are getting shut off. He canceled the vacation. So pay for it yourself, Tom said. With what money? Jen snapped. I make $35,000 a year. The mortgage alone is $2,800 a month. And that's when it hit them, all of them. They'd been so focused on blood and real family that they'd never done the math on what I actually contributed. They'd taken it all for granted, assumed it would always be there, that I'd always be there, wallet open, asking for nothing but basic respect in return. I left for the beach house 3 days later, but not before having several very interesting conversations. First with my lawyer, Marcus, who confirmed that I had no legal obligation to support Jen's children and that separating my finances was completely within my rights. He also mentioned that if Jen wanted to pursue divorce, she'd have a hard time claiming alimony given the length of the marriage and her ability to work full-time. Then with my financial advisor who helped me calculate that I'd spent approximately $180,000 on Max and Zoe over 7 years, not counting the portion of housing and utilities they used. That money could have been invested, could have been my early retirement, could have been anything other than funding the lives of children who saw me as nothing more than their mother's ATM. The beach trip with Nate was exactly what I needed. We fished, we drank beer, we talked about our failed marriages and whether we'd ever be stupid enough to try again. He'd been through something similar. His ex-wife's kids had turned on him the moment their bio dad came back around, after he'd raised them for 6 years. "The thing is," Nate said one evening as we watched the sunset, "we want to believe love is enough, that if we just try hard enough, give enough, sacrifice enough, we'll earn our place. But some people only see blood. And when push comes to shove, you'll always be the outsider." While I was gone, the situation at home imploded. Jen's first panic came when she realized she couldn't afford groceries for the week. She'd never had to budget before. I'd always just handled it. She texted me asking for the credit card information. I replied with a link to Dave Ramsey's budgeting website. Max had to tell his soccer coach he might not be able to play in the fall season because the fees weren't paid. The coach called me directly, since I'd been the contact for 3 years. I explained the situation, that Max's biological father would be handling his expenses now. The coach was confused, said he'd never even met Tom. "That's interesting," I said, "since he's the real parent and I'm not." Zoe's piano teacher also called when the auto payment failed. I explained the same thing. She was less understanding, said Zoe was talented, and it would be a shame to lose her as a student. I agreed and suggested she discuss payment plans with Zoe's parents. The real crisis came when the mortgage payment was due. Jen had assumed I'd cave and pay it like always. I didn't. She had to borrow from her parents, who were not happy about it. Her father called me, said I was being cruel and petty. "Jim," I said, "for 7 years I've supported your daughter and grandchildren without complaint. I've never asked for recognition or gratitude. But when they told me I'm not family, that I don't get a say because I'm not blood, they made their position clear. I'm just respecting their wishes." "But you're punishing the children." "No, I'm allowing their real father to support them. Isn't that what they wanted?" He hung up on me. When I got back from the beach, I found Tom had been staying at the house, in my bed, eating my food, using my things. Jen said it was temporary just until he got back on his feet. I laughed, actually laughed. "He's been getting back on his feet for 7 years, Jen. But sure, let him stay. I'll be moving out this weekend." That changed everything. Suddenly it was real. I wasn't bluffing, I wasn't having a tantrum. I was done. The kids tried to apologize, but it was too little too late. Max said he didn't mean what he said, that he was just being a stupid teenager. "Maybe," I said, "but stupid teenagers don't get their college funded by non-family members. I'm sure your dad has that covered." Zoe wrote me a letter, saying she was sorry, that she loved me, that I was the only dad who'd ever really been there for her. It was touching, but I noticed it came exactly 1 day after her phone got shut off, and she realized her real dad couldn't even afford to get her a basic phone plan. "I appreciate the letter, Zoe," I told her, "but you made it clear that blood is what makes family. I'm just respecting that boundary." The divorce papers were filed 2 weeks later. Jen tried to claim I was abandoning the family, but Marcus shut that down quickly. "Your client informed mine that he wasn't family. He's simply agreeing with that assessment." The financial reality hit them hard. Jen had to take on more hours at work, which meant the kids were home alone more. Tom lasted exactly 1 week living there before disappearing again. Couldn't handle the actual responsibility of parenting. Max had to get a part-time job to pay for his own gas and insurance if he wanted to keep driving. Zoe's piano lessons stopped. Her teacher wouldn't work with them on payments after all. 3 months later, Jen reached out. She wanted to meet, to talk, maybe try to work things out. We met at a coffee shop, neutral ground. "I didn't realize," she started, then stopped. "No, that's not true. I did realize. I just took it for granted. You made everything so easy, handled everything so smoothly, that I forgot none of it was my right to expect." "What do you want, Jen?" I want my family back, my real family, the one that worked, that was happy. You, me, and the kids. But I'm not blood. She flinched. They're kids, Dan. They said something stupid and hurtful, but they're kids. Max is 16. In 2 years, he'll be an adult. Zoe is 14, old enough to know that words have consequences. And you're 40 years old. You agreed with them, told me I wasn't the same as their real dad. I was trying to keep the peace. No, you were showing me where I stood, and I heard you loud and clear. She cried then, ugly crying, the kind where makeup runs and people stare. Please, Dan, we need you. I need you. You need my money. That's not fair. Isn't it? Tell me, if I came back but said I wouldn't pay for anything beyond my own expenses, that you and the kids needed to figure out your own finances, would you still want me back? Her silence was answer enough. I stood to leave, then turned back. You know what the saddest part is? I would have given those kids everything. College funds, cars, weddings, help with their first homes. I would have been there for grandkids, for every milestone, every celebration. I chose to love them, which is more than their bio dad ever did. But they chose blood over love. And now they get to live with that choice. The last I heard, Max didn't get to play his senior year of soccer. The fees were never paid. He's working 30 hours a week at a grocery store, trying to save for community college. Zoe gave up piano, got into some trouble at school, acting out from the stress at home. Tom shows up maybe once a month, usually when he needs something. Jen and I are divorced now. She got the house in the settlement but can't afford to keep it. It's on the market. She'll probably have to move back in with her parents. The kids are angry, but not at me anymore. They're angry at the situation, at their mom, at their dad, at themselves. But anger doesn't pay bills or turn back time. As for me, I bought a nice condo downtown, closer to work. I'm dating someone new, someone who has her own career, her own money, and no kids. We're planning a trip to Europe this summer, first class, 5-star hotels. The $7,000 I would have spent on a beach house for ungrateful stepkids will now be spent on myself. My cousin Nate asked me if I regret any of it. The marriage, the years spent raising those kids, the money spent. I told him no. I don't regret trying to build a family. I don't regret showing those kids what a responsible, present father figure looked like. What I would have regretted is staying after they made it clear I was nothing more than a wallet to them. Because here's the truth about blended families that no one wants to admit. Love isn't enough. You can pour everything you have into children who aren't yours. Sacrifice your time, your money, your energy. And in the end, if they decide blood matters more, there's nothing you can do about it. The best you can do is know your worth and refuse to settle for less than real appreciation and respect. Was I petty? Maybe. Was I harsh? Probably. But I was also done being taken for granted. Done being told I didn't matter while simultaneously being expected to fund everyone's life. They wanted their real family. They got it. And they learned that DNA doesn't pay bills, doesn't show up to games, doesn't help with homework, and doesn't give a damn when things get hard. Sometimes the best lesson you can teach people is to let them have exactly what they asked for.